Hey guys, Randy here at etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at a multi-function light from Byers. This is going to have a 6.5 inch base, 4 3/4 of an inch tall, and it's an LED light that's capable of producing 15 different flash patterns. Now, different sites require different types of patterns, so this should cover a lot of them for you. This is going to give you that indicator on top of your vehicle. Typically, that's going to be required either through some regulations of the site maybe you're working on, or some kind of OSHA regulation that you need to comply with. I think it offers a lot of safety and a lot of visibility. This is going to work out really well, whether it's a construction site, whether you're out on the highway, a mining situation, any of the industrial type situations where we need to see this, or it could also work out really well for a security situation. Basically, the LED lights are a very bright light. There's no brittle filaments in them that you really have to worry about getting in there and replacing, and they use a lot less energy. This one happens to be a permanent mount style. We've got it mounted onto our beacon light mount that mounts onto the cab guard, but this could also be mounted right to the top of your vehicle. I think this is going to be best suited for work vehicles more in a full-time situation. If it's just an occasional need that you have, we also have one very similar to this from Byers. Now, it doesn't have the selectable flash patterns. It's more of just a beacon light, but it's a magnetic mount. So you could mount that right on the roof of your truck and plug it into a 12-volt outlet. That's going to reduce the need for a permanently mounted switch inside. Just depending on your needs, there's a good solution out there and available for you. Just got to determine whether it's going to be a full-time application or an occasional situation, and pick the one that's right for you. Now, something else I like about this is that it has good weight. It's not super heavy, of course, it's just a beacon light, but the way it's made and the quality, I mean, the lens is really solid. The base feels very solid. I wouldn't be too worried about it breaking, even in very low temperatures. And if you do have particular requirements, it is an SAE J845 Class 1 light, so if that falls within the parameters that you're looking for, it can be a really good choice. Now, as far as getting the light mounted goes, we're going to have a flange all the way around the bottom. It's going to have 3 holes in it. Now, we can use that up on top of the roof of the vehicle if we feel like pulling down the headliner. We're going to be using the beacon light mount that goes with the cab guard we have on the truck, where it also has the connection point right here if you're using the 1-inch pipe that just comes up with the threaded end. So gives you a couple of options. Then you also have a couple options for how you're going to route your wiring. We can either lay it in the gap here so it sits down flush and comes out of the side, or we can run it just straight down. So we've got our hole here, we'll run that down and through there, get those lined up, and we'll get them attached using the provided hardware. Now, I am adding one flat washer. You see these holes are kind of elongated. I'm just putting that flat washer in there so when we use our little serrated lock washers that we don't have any problems with those kind of going through that elongated hole. Sometimes that's an issue. Get those placed on. I'm going to use the provided nut. I'll get all 3 of these started, and then we can just use a Phillips to tighten them down. Now, as we tighten this down, we just want to get it nice and snug. Don't need to over tighten it. We don't want to crack the base, but we also want it to be secure, so snug it down like that. You can see that's going to be nice and secure. Now we'll just take care of our wiring. Now we have 3 pre-stripped ends here. Just going to trim off the length I want it. And we're going to add a heat shrink butt connector to the end of each one of these. We're going to use part number DW05743. After you crimp it, you want to pull on it, make sure it's got a good bite there, and we'll do the same thing for the other 2. Now, for connecting our wires, we of course want to use a switch, unless you want this to come on in the same flash pattern each time, but I really don't recommend it. That's not why you're getting a selectable flash pattern light. There's a switch from Byers which allows us to turn power on and off, but it also has a button that we can press. Every time we press the button, it sends a signal to this wire, which tells it to switch to a different pattern. So I recommend going that route. If you've already got a switch kit with a momentary button set up, then use that. But we're just going to wire this up to our Byers kit, red to red, black to black, yellow to yellow. We're going to crimp it in the same manner we did our other one. Now to shrink these down, of course, we're going to use a heat source. You can use a lighter, a little mini torch. What we're using here is a heat gun. Just going to apply low heat to it. You can see how it starts to shrink down there. Basically, you just want to shrink it down to where the wire looks like it gets bigger, almost like it's magnified. And there's none of the kind of open air in there. All right, now once we have those shrink down properly, we want to just tidy it up. Now what I like to do is just take my electrical tape. I'm going to make a couple wraps up here real close. Now while that's still attached, we'll bring the loom around our wiring and we can slide it right up over that. You can see how that electrical tape goes through the gap. Now what we'll do is hold that and then wrap our tape around it. That's going to hold it right in place there. We won't have to worry about it coming down on us. We'll bring that on down, and I'm going to stop right before my butt connectors, and I'm just going to tape that section up. We'll bring it in around the door jamb, close it up, and at that point we're ready to head in and connect power to our switch, and we'll get it tested out. So as you can see there with the installation, not a whole lot to it, just a few wires that we have to get ran. All in all, I think this is going to be a really good solution. I think it'll be something you can be very pleased with, and it'll definitely last you for a long time.